Hello. Welcome back to Math Made Possible. I believe I can. I am your teacher, Miss Howard. Today we will be going over Illustrative Math, Grade 5, Unit 6, Lesson 3 Summary. We'll be noticing patterns in metric measurements. Okay, we're going to begin here by talking about kilometers, and we're going to be converting kilometers into meters. So the way we have to begin is this. We're thinking about what do we start with? And I want you to think of a kilometer in real life would be a very long road, okay? That would be a kilometer, or even a track. That would be a kilometer, measured in kilometers. All right, so what we're going to be doing is converting that back into meters. If your teacher has a meter stick in the classroom, of course you would be able to visually understand that a meter is going to be smaller in size versus a kilometer. Okay, so there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer. In this first table, we're going to be multiplying or trying to find out how many meters are in 10 kilometers. So let's begin here. We teach you all that you're going to be multiplying because, of course, when you're converting from 1 to 1,000, it is 1,000 times greater than 1. Our next one would be 10 times 1,000. Now, what I teach my students to do is take those numbers, because it's not always going to be a factor of 10. So whatever that number may be, whether it's 23, 16, 42, whatever it is, you take that original number and then times it by 1. And we know 10 times 1 equals 10. And then we tap on those 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. So our answer here would be 10,000. Let's move on to the next one. So that one now is how many, if we have 100 kilometers, what is our distance in meters? So we're going to begin with 100. And again, we know that there's 1,000 meters in a kilometer. So that we're going to times that by 1,000. Another way that you can do this is you could just say 1 times 1. Of course, that is 1. And then count up your total amount of zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So make sure that your answer has 5 zeros. 3, 4, 5. That gives us an answer of 100,000 meters are in 100 kilometers. Next one. Now this one says 10 to the third. Well, what does 10 to the third mean? In our last lesson, we learned that 10 to the third means we need to write, that would be 10. That's basically saying 10 times 10 times 10. Well, what does that equal? Equals 1,000, right? But so now that we know that it's 1,000, we have 1,000 times 1,000, because if there's 1,000 kilometers, how many meters are in that 1,000? So times 1,000. Again, we can go ahead and write our 1 times 1, which would be 1, and then we are going to just tack on our zeros. How many zeros do you see? We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 5, 6. Or we can go ahead and write this as 10 to the power of 6. And the reason why we can write 10 to the power of 6 is sometimes we don't want to have to keep on writing either 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, right? Not sure how many tens that was, but you get the idea. We can also not have to write all those zeros in 1 million. We can just go ahead and represent it as 10 to the power of 6. Okay, so we have our next problem here, which is a conversion table. And in this conversion table, we are going to be moving through different units. So we have kilometers, meters, centimeters, and millimeters. The first thing that we need to remember is that we are going to be jumping from or converting from kilometers to meters. Then we'll be converting from our meters to centimeters. Then we'll be converting from our centimeters to millimeters. Now, there's two questions that you could ask yourself that can help you understand it a little bit better. All right, the first question is, what unit am I starting with? The next question is, what unit am I going to? Okay, so let's look at our first one here. We have 2 5/10 kilometer, and we're going to meters. What we need to remember is meters are going to be smaller in size than kilometers. Remember, a kilometer is going to be represented like a long road or a track. And meters, if your teacher has a meter stick in the classroom, you can basically see how long a meter is. And it's easier for you to see that, right? But in this case, we're asking ourselves, again, what do we start with? We start with kilometers and go to meters. And on our last problem, we had to figure out how many meters are in a kilometer, right? Let's change our background color to yellow. And we have our pen is black. All right, so we remember that there were 1,000 meters in a kilometer. Now, how do we work that out? Well, we first say we have 2 5/10 of a kilometer. And in order to find our answer, we're going to need to find out how many small pieces would that be, or how many would we chop that 2 5/10 up into, right? So that would be 1,000. And now, how do you work that out? Well, what I teach my students is you just take out the decimal first, multiply 25 times 1,000, and then that would equal 25,000. However, our final answer is not going to be 25,000 because we have to remember that there is actually 5/10 here. And if you remember placing 2 5/10 in a place value chart, there is a 5 in the tens place, which means in our answer, there should be an answer in the tens place. And we're going to use that as this between these two numbers right here, these two last numbers. So we put a decimal right there. And so our final answer would not be 25,000. It would be 2,500. And now I'm going to go back and erase that decimal. I just wanted you to see where we would put it so that you would understand. Okay? Next one. We ask ourselves, how many centimeters are in a meter? If you remember from your lesson in class, you should know that there are 100 centimeters in a meter. So you take that meter stick, flip it around, or take a look at the measurements that's on the meter stick, and you'll see 100 listed on there. Now let's go through and work it out. And I would also encourage you that when you're going through these problems with me, pause the video to make sure that you understand what to do. And hopefully you get the same answer that I came up with before I did, right? So we have 2,500 times 100. Again, if we just take a look at our number 25 and 1, 25 times 1 equals 25. And then count up your zeros. There's 2 in 2,500 or 2,500 and 2 in 100. That gives us 4 zeros. So I'm going to go ahead and type 4 zeros. Our final answer would be 250,000 centimeters. Please forgive me. In my last one, I forgot to put our units at the end. So this one would be meters, 2,500 meters in a kilometer. And I'll go ahead and put my 2,500 meters right here as well. Okay. Now, let's go to our next problem. Now we're going from centimeters to meters. Again, think about your meter stick. Each of the, if you have 100 centimeters, realize that there are little ticks in between those numbers, right? That's our millimeters. So the jump from or to convert from centimeters to millimeters, we will know that there's 10 of those little ticks in between the numbers on the centimeter side. On the centimeter side. So we go back to our questions at the beginning. What unit am I starting with? Well, I'm starting with centimeters in this case. How many centimeters do we have? Well, we have 250,000 centimeters. And again, there's 10 ticks in between, so that's going to be times 10. We do our same procedure. 25 times 1, that's 25. Count up your zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. So that will give me 2,500,000. All right, hopefully you came up with the same answers that I did. Let me exit my drawing. Okay, so I want to say thank you so much for watching. If you still have any questions about how to do this, I recommend that you search Illustrative Math, Grade 5, Unit 6, Lesson 3, and you can also search how to write patterns in metric measurements. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hopefully this video helped you understand it a little bit better, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Don't forget to study for your test.